You're on.
What's happening, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. My name is Petru. This is the Passion Drives Purpose podcast. Thank you for your time. Today's going to be a great interview. I have a really inspiring guest today. This person right here, he's outstanding. He's phenomenal. And he has a crazy, crazy story to tell about what he does for a living and how he got into it originally. So without further ado, Jose, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot.
Please introduce yourself
Thank you.
and tell us what you do.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Jose. A photographer, full time, also in school as well. I wanted to hone my craft, and so I decided to go into school to just make it better from where I was maybe 3 years ago to the day I am right now. Used to be completely different field, fully different field. I used to be in social work back in the day when right straight out of high school. I went to college for that. Went into that right after that. I went into a job for that, and I honestly hated my life. I'm not gonna lie. All the respects to people in social work, it wasn't for me.
So basically, you started in a field that you thought was for you, and at some point you discovered that it wasn't for you. How did you come to the conclusion that social work is not your forte?
Yeah. So I don't know. When I first started social work, I don't know if it was like I truly believed that it was for me. I just knew that it was the easy route. At that time when I was choosing my colleges, like I had a lot of family members in social work, and they were like saying it's a great job, it's a great field, which it is. I think they do great work, but for me it wasn't it. I worked with a lot of kids when I went into it. I worked with kids with disabilities and like a kid with autism. And honestly, every day it was taking like with a kid, I was like taking 3 steps forward and then 4 steps back. Every day it wasn't rewarding as much as I wanted it to be. It was really taking a toll on me and my mental health. Yeah.
That's fair, Jose. So at what point did you feel that you knew it wasn't for you, but at what point did you discover like, you know what, I think maybe photography might be the path that I should be kind of, shifting my lenses towards.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
So I think it was in 2018 when I picked up my first camera. First I had a friend that used to take a lot of photos, and I remember playing with this camera, and I'm like, this is a lot of fun. I used to do it just with friends, just wasting some time, I guess, like just trying to keep the mind focused at that time. 2018, I picked up my camera, and I'm guessing 2 years into that, when COVID hit, I think that was like the real time where I was like, this is my chance right now to make a move in my life, because I wasn't working. I was sitting at home, as everyone was, and thankfully for me, it was one of those times that really opened up my horizon, and I was like, no, this is not what I'm going to be doing in the next 5 years.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So I'm sure it must have been scary. How old are you now, brother?
I am 27.
27, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It was what, 3 years? 3 years ago you shifted?
2021 pretty much, like end of 2020, right after COVID is when I shifted, and I went into school for photography because I still think that it was valuable for me, because I knew that I was doing good in photography, but I knew that I could do a lot better, and I really wanted to increase my craft and really get into the craft more. So that's why I decided to go to school. Not much for the degree, but more for like the experiences that I've gained throughout the years in school.
So you have your own business.
Yeah.
You're in school, trying to perfect your craft, and ultimately, one thing I really want to emphasize about Jose's journey is the fact that he was doing something where he was generating money, but he didn't really enjoy it. He didn't feel like he was fulfilling his purpose as much as he could. And the hardest thing is pivoting from, something that seems secure, that I'm sure a lot of people around you are patting on the back and saying, great job, great work.
100%.
But deep inside, you don't resonate fully with it, because deep inside, it's not your version of success. And one thing I really want to highlight and ask you about is what questions, what ideas did you have in your mind when you knew you had to pivot, you knew you had to switch, you knew you had to drop one thing to pick up fully the photography, the thing you loved? What thoughts were going through your mind, both self-limiting and self-encouraging? So what was the thought process like for you?
Yeah. Damn. Like I was saying, like, when I was thinking of moving, I was like, I don't want to be this in like 5 years. I didn't want to be 30 working for somebody else and doing this job where my mental health was taking a toll. I was smoking a lot of weed, drinking a lot during the time. I wasn't really focused. I felt dead, like brain dead. Literally just wake up, go to work, come back, smoke to forget about everything. And I felt like that was like a life that I didn't want to be living. And at the same time, I was taking photography on the side for fun, and a lot of people were saying like, "This is great work. Like, you should just continue this." And I think it was like also my brother that was like one of the biggest factors in this, because he just said, "Do it. Don't be like." Because he also at the time he also hated his job. He's like, "Don't be like me. Do something different. Screw it." And also at the same time, I had my parents to deal with. They didn't want me to do this. They didn't want me to switch careers. They thought that this career was safe and I should just continue it. But I decided to be like, no, like this is not what I want to be in 5 years. I don't think I'll be happy in 5 years. I wasn't happy then. Definitely happy, more happy now. Even when the money isn't coming in, definitely feel more rewarded at the end.
More accomplished. And
Yeah.
Jose, you do amazing work. I mean, guys, if you get a chance to check out his Instagram page, we're going to have it in the description below.
Thank you.
Outstanding work. You could just tell the passion and attention to detail that this man has for the gift he has. And that's scary as hell, is to go from something that's seemingly secure, that you despise, that kind of wears you down, and then all of a sudden jump into the water when you theoretically don't really know if you can actually swim or if you float. You're betting on yourself to float.
Legit.
You're betting on yourself to swim.
Like I was saying earlier today too, like to you, it's like I feel like you have to be a little bit ignorant. I don't know if I'm using the right word.
Right.
Ignorant, maybe a little stupid, but like I think I relied on that a lot because when I did it, I didn't think about failure. I just thought I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna do it right and it's gonna happen. Like I didn't think the fact that it is possible for me to fail in this. I didn't think about that, but I'm kind of happy I didn't. You know, I'm happy that I didn't think about reality for a bit and I actually dreamt. Yeah.
And I think ultimately, bro, that ignorance, that good ignorance that you're talking about is passion. I think passion has such a strong effect on your mind that when you see things with the lens of passion, you're kind of ignoring the things that scare you. Like I think you either live in courage or you live in fear. You can't operate in both settings. And looking back, you could see how it was scary, but you could also applaud yourself for pushing forward with courage. And you had a lot of courage to quit that job. So walk me through how quitting that job actually was.
Well, when I quit back in 2020, late 2020, I think, I didn't really tell anybody other than my job that I'm not coming back after COVID. And I was stuck there until the summer. I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? At the time when I quit, I was like, I'm not gonna go straight into photography. That wasn't like the idea. I just said I quit. And during that summer, I was doing a lot of work in photography. A lot of happy customers were saying back to me like, this is great work, and they're happy with what I've delivered. So at that time, I was like, what can I do to continue this career and make it better, and also at the same time make my family happy? And I come from a very highly educational background with my parents both being teachers back home. They really wanted me to have a degree in something, so I decided to do photography. I get a degree, makes my family happy, and I get experience, makes me happy. At the time, I wasn't really thinking about 5 years from now. I was thinking about now, like what can I do right now to make me happy and not be stuck in one position. I took the leap of faith, dude, and it was like one of the best experiences I've ever had. And since then, obviously I've had my ups and downs, and I still probably have my ups and downs. Being in a job like mine, it's not like always guaranteed work, but it is really rewarding when you actually get the work that you wanted to do. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, absolutely. That's a great summary of making that shift, taking that leap, and kind of being in the air and hoping that you land where you need to land. Obviously, you land in a really good spot, but there's no coincidence in that. And I would say there's not too much luck into it, because you've kind of made your own luck. You've defined your aim, your vision, and you follow it through with discipline. And that being said, throughout your career as a photographer, what were some failures, to the young photographers out there trying to learn and trying to build their own business? What were some of the failures that you had to go through that you wish maybe you would have avoided, but you got really good lessons out of?
I think is definitely the biggest thing is not to undercharge. Never undercharge for your work. Don't look at other competition and be like, hey, just because you want to get a client, charge less than them. Because most likely the people that are already working in the industry, they already know the prices because they know how much time you have to put into. Especially people don't realize about post-production, where it takes hours and hours to edit. So never undercharge just to make a quick dollar. That is something I was like, at the beginning I was doing, and it roughly made me like $10 an hour, which was like ridiculously sad, right? That's one of the biggest thing, and invest in your equipment. I know it's expensive, but it's worth it. People always say, "Oh, it's not about the camera, it's about the photographer." Well, I'm telling you, it helps. You know, like being a barber, you could get like a $20 razor, and it's not gonna do as good as a $100 razor. You know,
100%.
so it's like one of those two things is invest in yourself, invest in your equipment, and never undercharge and never undersell yourself.
Wow.
Shoot for the stars.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And for the young photographers out there, young creatives that are looking to make their mark, it's really, I guess, important to know not to undercharge yourself. You have to recognize your own value.
Yeah.
Even though you just kind of stepped into the industry, you still have value. You're not totally valueless.
Yeah. With that being said too, though, like, don't mind you, like, you can't just go and charge people just because you have a camera, right? You have to have a good solid portfolio. So at the beginning, always shoot every day, grab your camera and go take photos or whatever you catches your eyes. And at the time when I started this, I wasn't really focused on, like, I was going to do commercial work. I was more focused on doing street photography, right? That was like my thing. That's what I love to do. But obviously I got to pay the bills, so I went to commercial work. Still love it, and I love going back on days I have time off to just go shoot for my own sanity, I guess, for the art.
Right, for the art, and that sharpens your skills, right? Having that balance of kind of both, right? Being able to treat it as a profession, but outside of a profession is such a passion that even when you have to deal with it for money, you're still enjoying every aspect of it, right? And you're learning from different layers. And I equate it kind of like barbering. When it comes to the people that sit in my chair, there's certain hairstyles I love to do. Like, I like doing freestyle designs, and that's my shit. Like, I love doing it. But I realized that all these other haircuts that I might have to do throughout the times when I don't have freestyle designs still help me become a better barber. And just like your shoots, maybe the shoots that aren't like the most appealing and attractive shoots still help you become a better photographer and still make you be more passionate, because you start finding the joys in the shoots that you initially might not think are as exciting, but then you find out actually this is way more exciting than I initially anticipated it to be. So that's really great stuff. And one thing I always respect about Jose here is his work ethic, his really hard work ethic. What would you say on the days you don't feel like doing post production, right? On the days you don't feel like editing, on the days you want to just kick your feet up and relax, what keeps you motivated to have this high level of discipline and work ethic that I know you have?
It's gonna sound kind of cliche, but I guess it's just reality of life. Especially since I moved out of my parents' house.
Right.
Reality of life is like you can't just sit around and not do anything, because the bills are gonna come. Life is gonna come, right? It's gonna hit you sooner than you think. So I think that's one of the things. Like, I take a day off just for my mental health. But the next day I know I gotta do something, because otherwise I'm not gonna pay bills, and otherwise I'm not gonna be able to feed myself, or I guess that's like the biggest thing. My thing is like my biggest fear is being homeless, not having food on the table, and I think that's it, right? And I came up from like a very, like, moving out from Ecuador to Canada when I was 7. We came from like humble beginnings, I would say. Like, my family wasn't well off, so it was like very simple life. So I think that also helps a little bit. And in the terms of like, although I know that I could do better than that, I know that I could live simply and be happy. If that makes sense.
It's a balance, right? It's kind of seeing the prize, the light at the end of the tunnel, and striving for that and running as fast as possible to get there. But then it's also enjoying the simplicity of life and the simple things, the time with family. So I totally get the balance that you have. One thing I think both of us have very similar respect for is our parents, because I came here when I was 7 as well, from Romania, and I'm sure just like yourself, humble beginnings, seeing them work as hard as they did to try and build a life for themselves and earn the things that most people don't even see as luxuries that we saw as luxuries.
That's just another thing, like, going back to like how families move. I think that's one of the biggest motivations as well. It's like I did not want to let my parents down. Like, like I was saying, they both were teachers back home. They were well off, but they knew that there was no future for their kids. So they moved here, did jobs that they did not want to do just for our happiness. So if I'm just sitting at home alone doing nothing day to day, I don't think I'll be happy, because I know my parents won't be happy. And like, that's my biggest motivation: make sure my family is happy with what I'm doing. And my parents always say, like, it's not about money. The success, success is just doing what you love, doing what your passion is, and being able to pay your bills. That's it. That's
Yeah.
what success is for them. So I was like, I just want to make sure they're happy that I'm happy.
Amen, brother.
No.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well put. Well said. Um, Definitely having the privilege of being in the situation that we're in, as opposed to those back home that wish they would be in the situation and have the privilege we have. I'm a big enthusiast on taking the privilege you have and not letting go to waste, not squandering it, and ultimately it's about locking into your gifts, guys. Whatever your gift is, whether that's photography, whether that's barbering, whether that's basketball, whether that's acting, whether that's business, whatever your gift is. It starts with the seed, you know, it starts with something small. It starts with something you just do for fun as a hobby. And all of a sudden it grows into this giant tree that has multiple branches and becomes very intricate. But to water that seed, you have to water it with enthusiasm, with passion, and with constant thirst for growth and learning. Like no matter how many years, 2 decades in, you're going to be, or I'm going to be, I think we're always going to be students of the game. We're never going to have, you know, our cups so full that we can't learn anymore. We're always going to keep wanting to learn. So to all the young people out there that are interested in something, no matter how far you go down that line, make sure you keep that same humble openness to knowledge and education, because you could get it anywhere, whether it's through school or YouTube videos or mentors or teachers. I mean, there's always something to learn, and that's what keeps the greats at the level of greatness. So yeah, super inspired to hear Jose's story, and absolutely excited to see where it goes for you, man, because you know he's got such an eye for it, man. He's got such a passion for it, and sometimes it's just like, you know, I know he's in school, but I feel like he could be teaching the class as well, you know, because he's on that level. But at the same time, we're both students and teachers in their own right. And I guess to finish the interview, the conversation off, I would really want you to I want to hear your message to the up and coming photographers, or to people that are maybe a little bit older, in the mid 20s, mid 30s, that, you know, are doing something that is a dead end. They know it's a dead end, and they're scared to make that plunge into something that's passionate. What message would you have for those people listening?
First of all, I would say don't rush it. Don't rush finding your hobby. Don't rush going into school for whatever to make anybody happy. If you're not going to be happy, don't do it. Take a year off, work, whatever. But be careful. We're getting stuck in that work life right too. But when I say don't rush it, also those means don't do anything, right? Practice, do different things, see what motivates you. And then once you have something that motivates you and you think you could pull it off, you actually have that passion, like we were saying, then do it. Then when you actually, like I said, you're a little bit ignorant, oblivious to the fact that you might fail, when you're at that point, do it. Do it. Don't look back. Take the jump of faith, or leap of faith, sorry. And yeah, don't look back, man. Just dial in.
Dial in.
Dude.
I love it, man. That's really the definition of betting on yourself and having that higher purpose, and kind of, you know, having your head in the clouds but also your feet on the ground at the same time. So couldn't have said it better myself. Jose, you are an absolutely exceptional person, bro. It's a pleasure to have you here chatting with us, giving us, you know, your side of the story, and I'm super excited to see where your career goes. I'm sure you're gonna be doing big things, no doubt about it. I hope you guys drew a lot of inspiration and, you know, some gems from Jose and his life story. And you can reach out to him on Instagram. You know, his bio is going to be in the description. Also, if you enjoyed this interview, please share, like, and subscribe. Really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you for your time. Wish you all blessings, peace, love. See you on the next one. Cheers.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, bro.